Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 20 St. Patrick's Day Dollar Tree DIYs for you. I have a lot of fun ideas for decorating for this holiday, including a coffee bar.
We're going to start with one of these little green foam wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. And we're going to do like a small scale St. Patrick's Day wreath to hang on my wall. I'm going to use some of this burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I was really glad to see that they started carrying this. If you can't find this exact one, you can use the thinner burlap rolls from the Dollar Tree. That would work well, but this is a really high quality burlap roll for the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start by wrapping the entire wreath form with that burlap to give me a nice coastal background for this DIY. So I'm just going to start here in the back and kind of at an angle, just glue the tip down. And then we're just going to slightly overlap each row by an inch if necessary to try to get that bend. This is not like a big wreath form. You could do this on a bigger scale though if you wanted to use one of like the wire wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. And I did do a large shamrock rope wreath that I have hanging in my front door in my 10 best St. Patrick's Day DIY videos is in there. That turned out really cute too. But this is kind of a mini wreath, which is great because you can hang it anywhere. So once I got it all covered, I am just hot gluing to the back across the row before I go in and cut off the excess burlap. So one roll was definitely enough to go over the entire thing. And then I wanted to use some of these little shamrock or clover flowers from the Dollar Tree. I grabbed 2 bunches and I thought we could wrap them around. Almost all of mine had 2 clovers on each one. Some had 3 and some had 1. So I'm trying to group them together in 2s. And then the ones that had 3 on there, I just kind of use those towards the end. But I'm just pulling them all off the stems, leaving 2 attached together like that so that I can tie those on to my wreath. I'm just going to use twine from the Dollar Tree. It's going to match that burlap nicely and just start tying those on. Easy peasy. So I just kind of tie it around the stem that holds them together. And I'm just going to tie a knot here in the back. And then cut off a piece of that twine. I just kind of estimated how long I was going to need that to be. And then just start tying them on one at a time, kind of alternating. Trying to hold my twine tight as I do it so that they don't really move around. I do have to secure them a little bit more than this to give it a little bit more shape. As you can see, they kind of want to flop around a little bit. So just grabbing 2 at a time, putting the string in between the 2 stems and going all the way around until I get to the other side. I wanted to do just a really cute, simple shamrock wreath. And I also have that great little shamrock sign that you see there that I think looks really coastal from the Dollar Tree. It's a galvanized metal shamrock with a little green wood one on there. So cute. When I get to the end, I'm just going to go ahead and tie that off on the back against where we started. And as you can see, that's what it looks like at this point. They are attached, but they are a little wild and willy, even though I kind of worked in one direction. So to kind of give it more shape and to make it look better, I'm just going to go through with my hot glue gun and glue down one of the 2 clovers on each set to the wreath form to kind of make it look better. And it kind of can cover up the base of the stem before it. Just kind of picking whichever one I think needs it the most and just gluing 1 leaf down. Easy peasy. I do still have a couple leaves left that you see there. Those are the ones that had 3 on there. And I kind of saved those back to kind of fill in any areas on the wreath form that kind of needed more. They have two different kinds of these clovers at the Dollar Tree. This is the plain one. They also have the one with glitter. I find that the one with glitter is usually a little bit easier to find. It honestly would look pretty with either one, but I always prefer the one without glitter. So we got those all glued down. And then this is where I just kind of go in and just pull off individual flowers or clovers and just go in and just kind of patch up any bald spots. This was really easy to put together, but it's really cute. They have something similar at the Target dollar spot that's like mossy with like little shamrocks all over. That would be really cute as well. I'm just going to cut off a piece of twine and just loop that around and tie it into a knot to make a super easy little hanger. And then we just need to attach the little wood and metal shamrock that we got at the Dollar Tree. This is it. I thought about changing the color of the green to make it a little darker like we did the other DIYs today, but then I kind of like the different shades of green. I thought it would look cute together. I'm just going to kind of use the existing hanger on there because it's kind of stapled to the back of the metal, and just kind of glue that to the underside here of my wreath to kind of make it like hang down right in the center of the little shamrock wreath. And I don't really need a hanger on there, so I just cut off the excess. And that's all there is to it. Let me show you how this little guy turned out. I did kind of pull it up a little bit so that you can see it a little bit better. And let me show you how it looks hanging in my house. I think it turned out really cute.
It's kind of on the smaller side for a wreath, but definitely a fun way to use some of those clovers. Now, were you able to find the clovers this year at Dollar Tree? I know my store did not have a good selection of St. Patrick's Day decor stuff. It was really disappointed. I did find a little bit more stuff at Target Dollar Spot than I did at even Dollar Tree. But in case you can find them, or I have seen them online, maybe Temu is a great place to get those as well. Hey guys, if you're enjoying today's video, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'd really appreciate it if you would hype today's video. I'm going to use one of these little glitter shamrocks from the Dollar Tree, and I thought we could recreate this and make it into a sand shamrock. So I'm carefully going to try to pull out the hanger without causing too much damage there on the foam there at the top. And then I thought we would use that wood base that you see there, that little wood chunky circle as a base. And this will be like a standing shamrock. I did want to first paint it like the color of sand to kind of mask all that green glitter that's on there. And I'm just using cashew chalk paint just because I had it and it was about the same color as the sand I was going to use. At first, I was kind of hoping that the glitter would be bumpier and it would almost give it that sand appearance, but it really went on very smooth. That glitter they use at the Dollar Tree must be like really fine. I always laugh at myself every time I go to Dollar Tree shopping, which is all the time. I always leave there with glitter all over myself, and I always have to laugh because it looks like I'm wearing body glitter, but basically it's just a telltale sign that I've been at Dollar Tree. Because they love their glitter. So I'm just going over all the front and the sides here of our little shamrock and painting it that cashew color. It does seal all the glitter and kind of clean up the mess, but I can't really leave the back exposed like that, so I'm going to go ahead and paint the back as well. And if for anything else, it's going to seal all that glitter away. We can have a nice kind of blank canvas. Now this is a very lightweight shamrock, and so it's not going to be super sturdy, but I'm going to kind of just cut off the bottom. As you can see, just trying to cut it like that. Kind of wanted to fall apart on me, so I decided to use like a serrated knife to kind of cut through there a little bit smoother. And somebody was telling me the other day to use one of the foam noodle knives. I did buy one of those, but I have no idea what I did with it because I can't find it now that I want to use it. So I thought, since it doesn't really look like sand at this point, we're just going to have to cover it with sand. And so I'm going to go over the shamrock with Mod Podge and use some of that brown Dollar Tree sand that we used on the last DIY for our little shamrocks and glue that all over. Painting it that color first, though, definitely helped because if there's any areas that aren't covered with sand, you're not really going to be able to tell. So just kind of working one section at a time. Mod Podge, you could also always use school glue for this as well. Both work really well for sand. And make sure you put something down first to catch all of that sand because you're going to waste a lot. Then I'm going to go over it with the spray glue, also from the Dollar Tree, and spray glue that to kind of secure that down, doing a second coat of sand. Now I also want the edges, so I'm going to go ahead and spray some of that adhesive on the edges and kind of touch those up as well to make sure that I get a little bit more sand attached to the edges. And just spraying and gluing more sand on there until I'm happy with it. I think this turned out really fun. It really does look like a shamrock made out of sand, like a little sand sculpture. Now, this is the little wood circle that we're going to use for the base of that. I thought it was just about the right size and would work well for that. I'm going to fill in the little hole there with a little hanger with a little bit of spackle. And then I wanted to bring a little bit of green into this. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the base of this green. And this is like a leafy green, doesn't matter, whatever kind of green that you have. I usually like to work with acrylics because they are cheaper. And if you craft a lot like I do, the chalk paint can really add up. So a lot of times I will make my own chalk paint if I need it with some of that calcium carbonate that I get on Amazon. And I think the one that I normally use that's in my shop, the calcium carbonate, is not available right now. And so it doesn't really matter what brand you use. Just any of the calcium carbonate powder mixed with acrylic, and you're going to have chalk paint. So I just screwed a screw in the middle to kind of give me something to attach the little shamrock to, carving out a little hole in the base of the shamrock, and then kind of pulling hot glue over the little screw that I put on the base, and then sitting the little shamrock on the base, waiting for that hot glue to dry. Whenever you're working with foam, it's going to melt with the hot glue, but I think it's going to be okay. Then I thought I should use some of this reindeer moss to kind of decorate that up a little bit, kind of give it a fun vibe. So I'm going to just hot glue some of that reindeer moss on the base of this, just to give another little fun element to this DIY. And again, since this is made out of foam and sand, not real durable, you're not going to want to put this in a high use area, but it looked great on my shelf and it actually held up. I'm also going to glue some of that reindeer moss all the way around the edges as well. And I really like the combination of the sand and the reindeer moss. They look really fun and earthy together. And it just kind of makes it more like a finished product. So once I get it all on there, I use some more of that spray adhesive that we use for the sand to help glue that down. And here it is, our little sand shamrock for St. Patrick's Day.
Honestly, I can take any holiday and make it coastal for sure. And adding Santa project is always really fun. So I thought this was a really fun coastal take on the little foam shamrocks from the Dollar Tree. And it really fit in well with my coastal decor.
Now, the next DIY, I just picked up one of these long signs from the Dollar Tree, the white one with the wood frame on it. And then I actually used some stencil vinyl and I cut it down to a 9.5-inch width to see if I could use it with my Cricut Joy Extra instead of smart vinyl without a mat. And you know what? It worked perfectly. The only thing I did was move the little rollers to the side. And look at this. No mat or anything. Now, I will share the SVG to this cutout that we're going to use. You could always do this with regular vinyl, but I love using this stencil vinyl. I get this on Amazon. I have this linked in my Amazon shop below. And I also get my paper, transfer paper on there as well, which is what this is. We're going to use that to attach the stencil to this long sign. So I did this really chunky font and spelled out the word lucky and made it just the right size for this Dollar Tree sign. And it's just going to make it easier to use the transfer paper to lay that on there. And I'll just use my scraper to make sure all of my letters are down pretty good. I did have a slight gap here at the top. I wanted to make sure I didn't get any paint there. But now it's time to paint. I'm going to use that same leaf green acrylic paint and a little stencil dauber from the Dollar Tree to do a quick stencil here. With the little gaps for the little slats, does make it a little tricky, and it did have a little bit of bleeding for this, but I was going for kind of a rustic farmhouse vibe on this, so I'm going to distress it anyway, so I think it's going to be okay. So I just went over mine with one coat of that leaf green. I did fill in some of the crevices there with a brush just to kind of make that a little bit more even. And gave it a quick dry with my heat gun. Now it's the moment of truth. We're going to remove this stencil and kind of see our results. I just wanted a simple sign that said lucky. I was originally going to add some of those Shamrock stickers that you see over there on the side, but I really like the simplicity of just the word lucky like this, and so this is what we're going to use. I just went ahead and dried it some more and then sanded it down with my sanding sponge to kind of bring some of the white through, lightly distress all of those letters. And then to distress it a little bit more, I'm just using some ivory paint and a chunky brush, and I'm going to do a light dry brush all over just to kind of break it up and make it look a little bit rustic. I like that vibe. And it hides any imperfections if you're on your stencil. And I will include that SVG below if you would like to recreate that with your cutting machine. But I'm glad I decided to make a stencil for it because I never would have been able to paint this cleanly. I think it turned out really good. So there it is, our little lucky sign. Nothing fancy, but it actually looks really cute paired with some of my St. Patrick's Day DIYs.
And this is definitely something that you can make without any St. Patrick's Day supplies at all, since Dollar Tree did not want to give us very much this year. Really fun with this cute little frame and just the word lucky. I like the font on that. I think it's really kind of fun and whimsical for this holiday.
Look at these great vases that I got at the Dollar Tree. They're so coastal, so nautical. They've got like the rope or the twine tied around it in like a fishing net pattern. And they're so pretty. I went ahead and got 2 of them. I thought this is what it is, the vase with jute, if you were going to try to find them at your store. They also have it wrapped around. You know, you could always DIY your own by tying a fish net on the side, but how convenient that they're already like that, right? Now I want to fill it with those beautiful shamrocks that you see there from the Dollar Tree and make some little St. Patrick's Day flower arrangements. I do need a little foam in there just to stick the plant down into. So I'm just cutting some little pieces of foam and putting those down in there. But otherwise, we're going to use some Dollar Tree sand to fill in there, and the foam won't be visible and it's going to look nice and beachy. And I'm using the brown sand. You could always use the white sand. You know, I think they might even have green sand. Kind of putting a skewer in there just so I can kind of move that foam around, make sure I get it in the right place. And don't do that. Don't spill sand everywhere like I did. And this is going to be a great base for those shamrocks. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here on the other side. I'm even going to finish it off with some seashells just for fun. Now, I've gotten a funnel since then. Funnels work really well for that. So we're going to fill this one up with some sand as well. And then we're going to clean up all of my sandy mess. That's with a little ladybug vacuum. You know, my son ran off with that to clean his bearded dragon tank, and he's never given it back. I guess I need to order a new one. So I'm just trying to make sure that each vase has about the same amount of sand in there. And then I thought we could put some of those little tiny seashells from the Dollar Tree in there, just kind of scattering those around. Since it is clear glass, you'll be able to see in there a little bit, and it'll be a nice little beachy touch. See, isn't that cute? Okay, these are the little shamrocks. They have two different kinds of these, I've noticed. They have these that are the plain green, or they have the ones that have glitter on them. I chose the plain ones, and we're just going to stick two of them in each vase. It's going to fill it up really nicely, just sticking it down into that foam that I put in the center. And this is how they turned out. Here is one of them.
And I displayed them together. They looked so cute. I actually did one on each side of my sand shamrock, and I got all of the coastal vibes, but I really love those vases. Some of my favorites that I've picked up from the Dollar Tree, but I always love crafting with the clovers as well and doing something cute with them like this.
Okay, let's do another easy St. Patrick's Day DIY. I picked up one of these signs from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to have mine vertical, so I just went ahead and removed one of the hangers from the back, save that for later because I don't need it. And I designed another free printable that I will include in the links below. The great thing about these Dollar Tree signs is they're almost exactly the same size as a sheet of paper. So I printed this out on cardstock, and I'm just going to use my paper trimmer to cut it down barely on all four sides so that it will fit into this frame, and we can do a really simple little ombre shamrock design on the sign like that. My cardstock almost fits, so I'm just going to trim it down a tiny bit more until it fits perfectly. And I really like this frame. It's a perfect size, but I don't really like the fact that this one has like the dark wood frame. I kind of wanted something more close to the burlap color we've been using a lot today. And I don't have anything that color, so I'm going to try to mix some stuff up to see if I can get that close. I use like a Dollar Tree brown and like an ivory and mix those together. And then I tried adding like a little antique wax by Waverly. I wanted something that would be kind of like a wood tone that I could distress the wood frame with, but this really wasn't giving. It just needed to be a little bit warmer, and so I did add a little bit more brown and white to it. I still wasn't happy with it, so I decided to go in with some more antique wax by Waverly, and then the secret ingredient, I added a little yellow acrylic, and then that totally got me the color scheme that I was wanting. And I'm just going to use that mixed paint to distress the frame. The back of it doesn't really matter. I like that color a little bit more. And I just kind of drag my brush on the top of it. I do want some of that like darker wood grain to be like kind of peeking through a little bit. But I just wanted to brighten it up and just make it a little bit lighter. So it'll kind of coordinate nicely with all of my other St. Patrick's Day DIYs that we did today with like the burlap colors and like the lighter woods. So I just went ahead and painted those. I kind of wiped off any excess paint with a paper towel to make sure you kind of get that wood grain in there. And then I also went along the outside of the frame and the inside of the frame, kind of distressing everything equally. And I think that looks a lot better. Now you do have to make sure you get it good and dry because you don't want any of that paint coming onto your printable before you get it sealed or anything like that. So I dried mine, kind of touched it up a little bit over here and made sure it was good and dry so we can go ahead and attach our free printable here with Mod Podge. So I'm just using a brush this time and I'm just going all over. A nice even coat of Mod Podge, something that's going to be strong enough to hold that cardstock on there, and then just lay my little ombre shamrocks on there. Something really simple but really cute for St. Patrick's Day, and this would definitely go with any kind of theme or vibe in your St. Patrick's Day decor. So I went ahead and laid that on there, gave it a quick dry, and then I do want to go over the top of it with more of the matte Mod Podge to give it that textured canvas look, but to also seal it, kind of protect it a little bit, make it look less like paper and more like a fun canvas sign. So I just sealed that on there, made sure nothing was kind of sticking to it, Gave that a quick dry with my heat gun as well. This is my new heat gun, and I'm going to have to remove this from my Amazon shop because I've only had this like 3.5 weeks and it's already not working like it's supposed to. And I tried to return it and I can't, like the window's already closed. So I did order a new one I'm going to test, and so maybe I'll replace that with it. I thought about distressing the shamrocks a little bit more, but I kind of liked the vibe of just the ombre, so I went ahead and left it, and so this is how it turned out.
And again, this is another project you can make without any supplies from the Dollar Tree for St. Patrick's Day specifically. You're just going to need a sign or a frame to put my printable in. But the ombre on the St. Patrick's Day little shamrocks, I think it looks kind of high end. I really enjoyed how this one turned out.
Let's get started with a coffee bar sign. Now, this is just an old thrift flip sign that I have that you guys have seen me remake like 10 times. It was a love letter for the Valentine's Day coffee bar, but we're just going to pop off this little burlap flower that we made, and we're going to convert this into a St. Patrick's Day coffee bar sign. It's the perfect size for the top of my coffee bar, and so I love using this sign. Now, I'm going to change the color of it. I thought since I was going darker, I could just kind of paint over the little white envelope lines, but I probably should have painted it white first because they do kind of shine through a little bit. For the first coat, I'm just using this color. It's called Christmas Green in acrylic, just to kind of give me a base coat. I do want to do a little bit darker. I want to do different shades of green today, green and brown. I don't really want to do any like bright rainbows or glitter or anything like that. I kind of wanted to keep it like a farmhouse feel for the St. Patrick's Day DIY. So just filling in a little damage from that heart with some spackle. And then remember, if you don't have the color, you can always just add some black to whatever color and you can get your perfect shade. So I'm going with like this kind of like dark green color for my base. And I want to make just an old St. Patrick's Day like cafe sign of some kind. And I've decided that I'm going to hand paint it because this sign, since I use it a lot, I noticed when I used the adhesive for the Christmas coffee bar, it left a lot of residue on it. So hand painting is probably the way to go. So I just used my Cricut and some of this Cricut vinyl. This is a stencil vinyl that I get on Amazon, and it's available in my Amazon shop below, as well as my paper transfer tape that I love. Very easy to work with, works pretty well, and you get a whole roll of them. So I'm going to use the 6-inch paper transfer paper, and I'll try to share the Cricut file. Basically, I just use Cricut fonts to spell out Shamrock Cafe. So just removing the backing paper from our stencil. If you don't have a Cricut, you could always do, hand lettering, or you could use stickers from the Dollar Tree, alphabet stickers. And so I'm going to line it up over towards the right because I kind of want to do like a shamrock over on the left. So just smoothing that out. Now the paper transfer paper is not clear, but you can see through it pretty well, enough to line things up. And the trick is just to get your stencil vinyl down as flat as you can. Anywhere you're going to have a little bump there, the paint will definitely bleed through, but this actually worked pretty well today. If you're worried about bleeding though, you could always go over first with the existing color. That way any bleed would be green. And I'm going over with just a foam brush from the Dollar Tree in white. And at first the sign is going to look pretty crisp, but I'm going to go back and distress it pretty heavily to kind of make it look old, like an old cafe sign, kind of weathered. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. Make sure you put painter's tape down if you need to, because you don't want to be repainting any areas that you don't need to. So just going over both of them with a couple coats just to make sure that I have good white coverage over that dark green color. And all of my stencils filled out. Basically, that's what I use my Cricut for the most, is for stencils for hand-painted signs. I absolutely love it. So we're just going to pop these off. I like this stencil vinyl because it does a great job of not taking any paint off with it. And then we're just going to weed out the center of our letters. Now, I didn't really want to put anything on the bottom row of my sign because I'm going to have things standing on my coffee bar there that'll kind of block that. So I didn't really want any writing there. But you could always add whatever you want to yours. You could do like Irish coffee. You could do like green punch. You could do like a menu items like that. That'd be cute. Now I'm just mixing Antique Wax by Waverly and some white together to kind of give me this like wood, kind of a driftwood color. And I'm just going to distress all over. And then I'm just going to go over that with a baby wipe to kind of wipe off the excess paint because I did distress it probably a little heavier than I planned to. And just trying to make it look weathered. And you kind of do need to do like your lettering first, so you can kind of weather that as well. Then I'm going to go in with some white and weather it with that as well, wiping off any excess with a baby wipe. And we're going to have a nice weathered sign. I went back and forth about what I was going to add to it. I definitely wanted it to be a shamrock of some kind. I got a really cute one at the Target dollar spot, but I ended up using one from the Dollar Tree. So just trying to make sure that that looks pretty good. And this is the sign. It's a perfect feel for what I'm going for today. The colors are perfect. It's got burlap on it. Does a little bit look like paper though, so just slightly distressing the green part with some actual paint and kind of all over just to kind of make it look a little bit less like paper. But I love the burlap shamrock on there, and I love the little bow. Everything is perfect, and we can attach this to our Shamrock Cafe sign. Now, there's 2 holes on the top, so I thought I would just use some of these little velvet push pins from the Dollar Tree to attach that. It's going to make it super easy to remove. And so I'm just going to put one on each side. The only problem is, I don't know if that shamrock wasn't quite flat or maybe my sign wasn't that flat, but it did kind of stick out a little bit there at the bottom. So I did have to use a little bit of hot glue just to glue the stem down. And that's all there is to this first DIY. We have a Shamrock Cafe sign for the top of the coffee bar, and I'm going to kind of work my way down. Okay, up next, I got this mug. It says Shenanigans and Shamrocks. I got this last year at the Target dollar spot. I just left Target dollar spot, and they have some really cute ones this year too. They have a gnome. They have one with a rainbow handle. They have some cute ones. I did get the one with the rainbow handle for a tier tray. So I'm going to fill that in with some floral foam and some Spanish moss, or actually reindeer moss, from the Dollar Tree. And instead of shamrocks, I wanted some white flowers because it's going to be in front of that dark green sign. I thought it would all blend in. So I'm just going to use some of these white baby breath flowers from the Dollar Tree. They're a nice tiny flower, and it's going to fill up this mug really nicely. And it's not going to blend into that green sign behind it. I did want to do like just some kind of a St. Patrick's Day stake in there, like plant stake. And so I'm going to use one of these little wood bead ornaments they have from the Dollar Tree. It's a little leprechaun hat. And it is kind of busy with like a lot of glitter and stuff on that. So I'm going to kind of make it my own. Otherwise, if it didn't have all that glitter on there, I probably would have used it as is. Now, I thought I could cover it in burlap, and so I'm going to use one of these great burlap bags from the Dollar Tree to cover the little leprechaun hat. I love those bags. They're kind of like coated on one side with like a plastic coating. Makes it really easy to cut and draw on, work with. I'm just going to draw the shape of the leprechaun hat on the back of it so that I can cut that down to size. It cuts beautifully. And I love DIYing with it. I'm going to use that bag a lot today. I actually got them in the Crafter Square section at my Dollar Tree. But I've noticed not all of my Dollar Trees have it, but it's a great find. Gives you that burlap look, but it's like a synthetic burlap, so it's not going to fray or anything like that. I'm just going to Mod Podge that on top. I don't think you're really going to be able to see that gold glitter through it. And then I thought I would just put the little strap back on the hat so you can kind of tell what it is. You can kind of see through the burlap enough just to draw that back on with a Sharpie, finishing off with a little buckle. Then I'm going to use a little skewer from the Dollar Tree and make a little stick to attach to the shamrock hat. We can place that down into our little flower arrangement. Easy peasy. We're just going to hot glue that to the back and put that in there. I like to use mugs a lot for my decor on my coffee bar, just because obviously they're coffee cups. Don't have a lot of St. Patrick's Day coffee cups though. For my bar underneath my shelves, I actually had to use actual cups. Just wait though, I'm sure I have plenty of Easter. So I just put that down in the flowers, kind of like tilting it off to the side. And we have a little flower arrangement for the top of the St. Patrick's Day coffee bar. Super cute, and I love that it's saying on there. Now, I found this at the Dollar Tree, and I thought it was so cute. It's a little horseshoe for St. Patrick's Day with a little clover on there that says welcome. Colors are perfect for what I want to do today. It's got glitter, but it's like very tasteful glitter. I am still going to tone it down, though, with a little bit of matte Mod Podge just to make sure I don't really have any sparkling going on. Not really going for that vibe on these DIYs. And then just to break up a little bit of the wood, I thought I would distress it with a little bit of ivory and a chunky brush. Just very lightly. Totally not necessary though, because this is so cute. This would be really cute on a tier tray as well. I really like it. It's a very classy St. Patrick's Day decoration from the Dollar Tree. Okay, our next DIY is going to be a redo of this little leprechaun hat from the Dollar Tree. It's covered in that like annoying green tinsel-y stuff. And so it's just a matter of getting all of that off there so we can DIY a nice farmhouse style St. Patrick's Day decor. Now, the bottom part of the hat is way harder to get the tinsel off of for some reason. And then I noticed that, the little plastic pieces are kind of like two different pieces kind of clipped together. So it'd probably be easier just to take it apart first. And that was the ticket. It was way easier to get in there at that point. If you're going to use one of these for your cage, make sure it's not broken. The top of mine was a little crushed, which I didn't realize before. And it did make it a little challenging to get the shape right, but misshapen hat's going to make it kind of actually look cute. So it doesn't really clip back on the bottom, so I just try to attach it with a little bit of hot glue, but otherwise the cage itself stayed together pretty well. Now, this is the Dollar Tree rope we're going to use. It is kind of the thicker brown rope from the Dollar Tree, and I was positive like 2 packages of that was going to be enough. It is I believe it's 8 foot. Wasn't quite enough though. It actually took a little bit of a 3rd package. So just hot gluing that to the top center of the hat, and then we can just start spiraling around. Since this is all circular, it's going to be super easy to wrap this with rope. And so I am using a little hot glue here and there just to make sure it stays down and in place, and I don't want to see any of that like green plastic cage poking through. Now, you might have to use a little extra hot glue here at the transition as you start to go down it, but you can just keep wrapping that same piece of rope until you run out. I'm going to remove the tape from the end and glue that down, and we can start a new package of rope, removing the tape on that one as well. Just make sure you get them pretty close together. You can always kind of fill that seam in and make it all kind of stick down with a little hot glue. And we're going to wrap this around. It's going to come to the base, the bottom, and start going around the bottom. But as you can see, it was just a little bit too short. So I am going to have to open a 3rd package, but that's okay. You guys know I always have plenty of this. If I don't find it by the box, like the ropes at the Dollar Tree, I just order them online and free ship to store. So I added a little more. We got it good and covered, just using my heat gun to try to melt any hot glue that might be visible and to kind of clean up any seams. Then to get all the fuzzies off, I'm just going to go over the entire leprechaun hat with a little lighter from the Dollar Tree, just burning off any strings or fuzzies that might be sticking out. Isn't it cute so far? I'm loving this hat. I was trying to fix the top a little bit from where it was caved in, but I think it's going to be okay. Now I wanted to replace the band of the hat, and so I thought one of these black leather purses from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. We could do a little leather strap on our leprechaun hat. Now I started cutting this. I was going to cut all the way around the bag and kind of do a strip, but I got to that point when I discovered it had an entire long handle inside, a leather handle, which would be perfect for a strap for it. So I'm going to use that instead. Just cutting off a piece of that strap. I love DIYing with those purses. They come in tan, black, and like a pink, mauve color. So that is just the right size. So I'm just going to cut it down to size, and we're going to attach our little black leather strap with hot glue. It really blows my mind that you can sell a purse like that for $1.25. And now I need to replace the buckle. I don't want to use the like cheap paper glittery one. So I thought I also wanted to bring a little green into it. So I'm going to use some of this green burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree and just cut a piece down into a buckle. With the wire on there, it's a little too big. So I'm just going to cut it down to size. And just using my strap as reference because I want to make sure it's like the perfect size. So then I fold it in half so that I can cut out the inner rectangular part there. And we have a little green burlap buckle. I think that looks perfect on there. So we're just going to hot glue that on. And this was a great DIY for a coffee bar. It's just the right size. You could probably use this on a tier tray as well, maybe on the bottom shelf. Super cute. I think I've DIY'd one similar to this in the past. I'll have to check. Okay, up next, I thought we could DIY this little wood house frame from the Dollar Tree and make a cute little St. Patrick's Day sign to go on the shelf of my coffee bar. So it's got the glass cut out in there. I don't really want. I just want it to be a little tiny house. So I'm going to use that same little burlap bag from the Dollar Tree, cut out a piece that we can cover the front of that frame with. And then I want to use that little lucky you see that's on that wood bead garland that I also got from the Dollar Tree to decorate the front. So I just drew that on the burlap, cut it out, and then we can cover it. I was a little worried that you were going to be able to see that window through, but actually the shamrock pretty much covered it perfectly. So I am just going to put, a medium coat of Mod Podge down and glue down that burlap. I really love working with that. And just wiping off any excess glue. There is a little photo frame like stand there on the back of it. Ended up not working that well for me, but it is there, which is one reason why I chose that little house. Now I'm just going to carefully untie this little shamrock from this. They have so many cute wood bead garlands for St. Patrick's Day at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to reuse that for another DIY for this project. And so I want all the twine to stay on there. So I just hot glue our little shamrock down that says Lucky. No glitter or anything on there. And I just need to cover the little hole in it though. So I just cut down a little tiny piece of twine, tied into a bow. And we're just going to glue that on there. And we have a really sweet, easy little burlap house decorated for St. Patrick's Day. This is going to be great on the top shelf because it's not really going to interfere with the sign that I have kind of hanging behind it, the one that we just made. So I want to use like all different shades of green like that and browns like burlaps and rope. So I tried it on the coffee bar. It wanted to lean back really far and I wanted it to stand up straight so that you could see it. So I just pulled off the back and replacing that with a couple of the little mini Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree to make it stand up a little better. Okay, let's start decorating the bottom shelf of my coffee bar. I found this great sign from the Dollar Tree. The only thing I don't like about it is the glitter shamrock, so I thought we could pop that off. I'm using heat and, a putty knife trying to pop it off, but be careful because watch what happens to mine. Ah, yeah, it ripped it. I'm like, oh no, but I think it's going to be okay. I'm just going to glue that back down. Carefully remove the paper. I was planning on replacing it with something anyway, and it didn't really mess up any of the writing on there. It says Shamrock, Erin Go Bra, St. Patrick's Day, Rainbow, Leprechaun, Kiss Me I'm Irish, Pot of Gold, and Lucky. Everything perfect colors. There's even burlap on there. But I thought instead of that little glitter shamrock, we could use some of these like little plant sprigs of shamrocks from the Dollar Tree to replace, and it's going to give us a cuter, like more farmhouse feel. And so I am just going to hot glue those over the ripped paper and problem solved. I was planning on putting those on there anyway, but be careful. They had that like really glued on. And it's the perfect height for my second shelf. I'm just going to kind of lean it up against my wall. I'm not going to make a hanger or any kind of stand or anything like that. Now check out the size of these gnomes they have at the Dollar Tree. For $1.25, unreal. Colors on this one's perfect. I didn't want the orange beard one. They have a bunch of orange beard ones and orange haired like girl gnomes. But this one had the traditional white gnome beard, which is going to go more with my color scheme today. So I picked him. He's got a black hat with shamrocks on it and a green outfit with black shoes. Everything's going with my color scheme. I didn't really like the little shamrock that was on him, though I thought it was a little too colorful, so I'm going to replace that with something else. But be very careful when you're using heat because you're going to end up with a hole like that. I don't know what that fabric's made from the Dollar Tree, but it melts. But I thought we could replace it with like a little burlap shamrock to kind of bring a little burlap into this DIY to make this guy really go with the rest of our DIYs today. And I have used black, so I'm fine with that. I did think about like recovering his hat, but I kind of liked the fabric that was on there. It wasn't too busy, if you know what I mean. Now, if you wanted to do yours more colorful, you could definitely do the one with the orange beard and have a little leprechaun on there. So I'm just going to replace that with some hot glue, gluing the little burlap shamrock on. And I just liked the feel of that a little bit better. But I can't believe how big these gnomes are for $1.25 from the Dollar Tree. Unreal. Now he's looking really cute. I didn't think he really needed any more details. He's kind of perfect, but I kind of want to make him do something on the coffee bar. So I thought it'd be really cute if we had the little gnome like pouring coffee cream. And so I got a little white coffee creamer from the Dollar Tree, and I thought maybe we could have him like pouring it. So I'm just going to kind of put it in his hand like that. But first I want to decorate it a little bit for St. Patrick's Day. You could always paint on it. I'm just going to use a window decal from the Dollar Tree. Super easy. I picked one out that had like different shades of green on it. And it's kind of the perfect size for the little coffee creamer. Now, it is a decal and that is like ceramic, but it does not really stick. So I'm going to use a thin coat of Mod Podge first to glue that down. But if I wanted to reuse that in the future, I'm sure it'd be probably pretty easy to peel that right off, kind of like a sticker. But now I have to figure out how to attach that to our gnome. It's pretty lightweight, the glass, so I think it's going to be okay putting it in his hand. So I thought it'd be cute if he was holding it kind of with his little right hand. So I do a little hot glue on his hand, and then I glue that to the inside of the handle. So I can kind of put the little creamer at an angle like that, like he is trying to put some cream in your coffee. Thought that'd be fun. I wanted to do another kind of like little coffee DIY. I thought he was perfect for that. I don't want it going anywhere though, so I do hot glue it to his little felt foot as well, just so it kind of stays in place. I don't want it falling off my coffee bar, and it actually worked out really well. So there's our little gnome pouring coffee creamer. I can't wait till you see how these all come together. And then check out this little leprechaun hat that I got at the Target dollar spot. Now, this was a little pricier. It was $5, but super cute. If you wanted to make this, you probably could with the reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree. Just cut out a very simple hat shape out of some foam poster board and then glue moss all over it. And then it also had a leather strap with a really nice gold buckle on there. Love it. I just need to make it stand up. So I'm going to use one of these little Dollar Tree signs. I use those all the time. I love them. They're so versatile to make DIY stand up. And so I am just going to glue it in there, just trying to make space in between the strap and the hat, sliding that in there and hot gluing that to the mossy little leprechaun hat. Love the feel of this. They also have a shamrock, like a hollow shamrock like this that I bought as well, that I'll have to try to use for another DIY. I don't normally like spending $5 on it, but I felt like it was worth it because it was really high quality. So I tilted the hat a little bit just to add a little bit more character. And then I'm just hot gluing the strap onto the back of the stand to make sure that it stays up there. It's not real lightweight like a Dollar Tree item would be. And so I want to make sure that it's not going to go anywhere. And that's all there is to it. You could always hang this on the wall too if you did not want to make a stand. But I think it's going to be perfect. It's going to bring in a little greenery, a super cute little leprechaun hat for our coffee bar. Now, I wanted a couple tiny signs, and the place I find tiny signs is the Target dollar spot for $1. I have this one left over from fall, and I think I have one that I had left over from Christmas as well. They do put them together a little better than the Dollar Tree, though. So this one wasn't too bad, but the next one was really hard to get apart. So, but I wanted to pop the back off just because I wanted to paint them. Thought it'd be easier to paint them if I didn't have to tape off the inside of that frame. So I'm just going to use the back on this so I don't have to worry about like the ripped paper and the design on the other side. So I just remove the tag with a little heat and kind of remove that residue on there as well. And then I thought we could do like a dark green color like we used for that coffee bar sign and make a little sign that we can like write some words on. So I just do one coat of green. The back is super easy to paint. Oh, and I was trying to remember the word. Goo-gone was what I used on it to get rid of the residue. But I don't want the back to look a hot mess with that ripped paper on there. So I'm going to use that same burlap bag that we used before. Just to cut a little piece to cover the back, attaching that with hot glue. And it's just going to make it look better. Finished back's always going to make a piece look better. And it's okay that you can kind of see the design through there a little bit. And then I'm going to use some paint pens. I got this one on Amazon. I think I put it in my shop. I'll make sure that I put it in my shop. It writes really well, really skinny if you want to do a skinny Ray Dunn font like that. And I think it's called Posca is the brand. People use them for rock painting. I was very impressed with this paint pen. It works really well. I love the fine tip. And I just spell out pinch me kind of in a Ray Dunn font and add a little shamrock on there as well, which is super easy to paint on. It's just 3 hearts combined with a little stem. I do go over that with another coat just to make sure that it's a little bit more filled in. And then we can pop that back into that wood frame. I'm just going to put a little dot of hot glue in each corner. I don't want like glue going out all over the inside of it. And it's not going to take much to attach that back in there. And we have a cute little pinch me sign. I thought that was funny. There's some really good St. Patrick's Day expressions that you can put on signs. I saw one that was really cute. It said no lucks given, which is pretty funny. So this is the other little Dollar Tree sign that I have left over. This one was really on there. Like I used heat and a putty knife. I will cut that out because I'm going to save you all the stress. Because then I switched over to a razor blade and I thought I'm going to cut it as deep as I can with the razor blade. Doing both sides if needed to be able to get this apart. And that worked finally. I thought I was going to have to tape off the frame. It does leave a little ripped paper when you pop those off though, so I'm just using a razor to get all of that paper off, or at least anything visible. Now this kind of has ripped paper on it as well, so I'm going to cut another piece of that burlap bag. We've only used half of it, but we've used it a lot today, to cut out a little rectangle to cover the back of that one. And I thought we could just paint this one a different shade of green. I'm going to put both of these little signs in front of that little leprechaun hat that we made, the one that was from the Target dollar spot that's covered in moss. I don't really want them to be too big because I don't want them to block that adorable hat. So I just removed the tag on the back with some heat and some Goo Gone, and we can paint this one as well. I do have like several shades of green acrylic. Really wasn't feeling this like leafy green once I got it on there, so I mixed the leafy green with my Christmas green. Kind of gave me a medium shade of green, just kind of mix it up. And we'll paint that one green. And then this one is really tiny, so I thought one word would be plenty, so I'm just going to put Irish on this one. Once you master that Ray Dunn skinny font, it is pretty easy to recreate, and it's way easier to just draw it on there without having to break out your Cricut. Super cute. They're just long, skinny letters with the like bridge of the letters is a little bit higher. And then a little hot glue in each corner. We can pop this little Irish sign back in there too, with the burlap back. Super cute. Okay, we only need a few more things for this coffee bar. Just making sure I get all the hot glue out. One of the corners, it did pull up a little bit, but there it is. I thought these little gold coins from the Dollar Tree would be really cute to just kind of scatter around because it's St. Patrick's Day. And then I thought we would use that wood bead garland that we have left over from earlier to make a cute little wood bead garland like banner on the front of one of my shelves. So I'm just going to tie a loop there where I cut off the shamrock, remove the tassel. We can always reuse that for something else. Just trying to get it untied so I don't lose any of the wood beads. And I tied a loop on that. I thought this was going to be long enough because my shelves are not very wide on my coffee bar, but it ended up being a little too short. So you'll see I'm going to go try it, a little too short, but I did have another one left over as well. And so I'm just going to try to start and stop and repeat the pattern. I could always use the ones that were on the shorter wood beads as well, because I just needed this to be a little bit longer. So just repeating the pattern, I'm just going to tie off the burlap, cutting off the ends so that can kind of fit inside of a bead and not be visible, and just add a little bit more length, tying that into a loop as well. And I'm not going to add anything else to this because I wanted this to be really simple. Now for the bottom shelf, I thought we could try out some of these new mini burlap pennant banners from the Dollar Tree. How cute are these? They come in this like triangular shape or like the traditional pennant. Kind of like this one better because it's a little smaller. They're called mini, which I didn't think they were too small. I can only fit about 3 on my shelf. So I cut out 3 and they are sewn around the twine so you can rearrange them to make sure that they're even. I also picked up some of this felt garland from the St. Patrick's Day section at the Dollar Tree, and I thought we could simply attach some of these great felt shamrocks to the front of that burlap. And I kind of wanted to mix it up and do like medium green, dark green, since we use many shades today. That brown burlap background is going to be perfect. They are looped together though, so you do have to sacrifice a couple by cutting them to get to the one you want. And how much easier can you get than that? I'm so glad that they decided to start carrying these at Dollar Tree. So much easier than having to make them yourself. So these are very lightweight. So I'm just going to use a dot of hot glue in the middle of each shamrock, doing the darker one in the middle, just for a little variety. And we have a little pennant banner for the bottom of my coffee bar. I don't have any St. Patrick's Day cups or anything that I really want to show off, so I'm fine with these kind of hanging alongside of the cups that I have there.
And this is how my St. Patrick's Day coffee bar turned out. This was done special request for one of my viewers that requested a St. Patrick's Day coffee bar. And I think this is the only one that I have done on my channel. I think it turned out really whimsical and fun. If you can find some cute items, especially like that little leprechaun hat, I love that. Now, Target Dollar Spot does switch it up every year, so you might have to make your own, but I think you could with a little bit of cardboard and some reindeer moss. I really enjoy the gnome with the little coffee creamer. That's one of my favorite touches on this one. And the little signs, the pennant banner, all of this was really easy to put together for St. Patrick's Day. So this is my top shelf of my coffee bar, and this is the bottom shelf of the coffee bar. And I think it all looks so festive and fun together for St. Patrick's Day.
I'm going to use one of these little frames from the Dollar Tree. I liked it because it kind of had like a light wood frame on it, and it was about the right size that I wanted. I wanted to make a little kind of mossy shamrock sign. So this had like little hearts and different things on it to decorate it. So I'm just trying to remove all that to give myself kind of a blank canvas. And then I'm going to go over this with Mod Podge, because what I'm going to do is cover the surface of that with sand. Now, I probably should have painted it like I did the sand shamrock first in that like tan color. That way I would have got better coverage, but I'm just kind of pouring the brown sand in there and just kind of shaking it around, pouring off the excess. So that's when I realized, you probably should have painted that, because now you've got to cover up all those words. So you might want to paint it first. So I just sprayed some adhesive, put some more sand on there, gave it a quick dry, and I'm just going to have to keep doing that until I have good enough coverage on there. What I want to do is to do like a mossy shamrock with a sand background, do a fun little coastal St. Patrick's Day decoration. Just making sure I don't have any sand glued to the inside of the frame, and patching any areas that still needed it. Now, whenever you work with sand like that, you got to make sure that it is pretty good and dry before you add anything else to it. Now, I thought it would be really fun to make a little mossy shamrock, and I thought I would use one of these little foam shamrocks from the Dollar Tree as a template, and actually one of those little Brillo pads from the Dollar Tree to make it kind of look like a mossy. I thought this would make a great like mossy shamrock. So I'm just going to use that as a guide to cut the little Brillo pad down. I'm just going to use like a white paint pen to kind of draw the shape on there. Something that's going to be visible on that dark green color. But I can kind of cut that part off. And it was just about the right size, and then just using my scissors to cut out the Brillo pad. Trying to cut off most of the white, but it doesn't really matter because I can always just use that side for the back. And it does kind of give you that mossy appearance, but with the use of a Brillo pad. I thought that was really fun, and it actually worked out pretty well. Just kind of trimming it up to make it look a little bit better once I get it cut out. Then I want to attach that to the sand background. I do want it to be a standing sign though, so I'm going to use one of those Jenga blocks. I always get those every spring at Five Below. They're great for crafting. And I glue one to the back to make a little stand for this frame. Now we can attach the little mossy shamrock here to the front. Just going to use a thick layer of hot glue, pushing that down into the sand as much as I can to try to get that glued against the base of it, and it did not. So I'm going to add more hot glue, this time really pushing it down, because if you just glue to the sand, it is totally going to fall off, and that worked. Then I wanted to add just a few more beachy touches, so this is kind of a small project, so I'm using some of those little tiny shells. These are the ones that you get in the little bottles at Dollar Tree, and just gluing some along the bottom just for fun. I also have some of these little tiny starfish. I get these on Amazon. I absolutely love them. And I have those linked in my shop as well. I'm just doing a little beachy border down here. It was pretty simple DIY, but it was nice and beachy and fun.
And the idea of a little Brillo mossy shamrock definitely made me smile. Another fun St. Patrick's Day decor piece that you can make without any specific St. Patrick's Day decor items. Just using a Brillo pad. I think it definitely did give me that like mossy texture that I was looking for on the shamrock, and the sand in the background. Of course, really coastal and fun, and a fun little crafty beach spin on this one.
Now for the next one, I told you we're going to use another galvanized metal piece from the St. Patrick's Day aisle at Dollar Tree. This one is a leprechaun hat. And then I also found some great green and black plaid fabric from the Dollar Tree. And then I just picked up a Dollar Tree square sign. And I thought we could kind of put all these pieces together to make a little fun sign. I thought that the leprechaun hat really looked like a chalkboard because it's black versus green on the little shamrocks. But I'm just going to take this Dollar Tree fabric, and what I'm going to do is just cut down a square of that to cover the back sign. If you had some scrapbook paper or something like that, that would work. That would be really cute as well. But this was kind of really the only green fabric that I had, but I think it turned out really well. So I just laid my sign on the back of it. I used a Sharpie to kind of give me a reference line so I can kind of cut this down to size. I wanted to be fairly careful as I cut the fabric because I did not want it to fray. Didn't want to do any sewing or anything like that. And so I'm just going to go ahead and cut down that square out of this fabric. And I'm glad I found this fabric. I think it looks really great for St. Patrick's Day. So that's what we have so far. It is wrinkled a little bit, so I'm going to go in there and give the fabric a quick press with my Easy Press so I can get this laying flat, so I can make sure that I have this cut down to a perfect square, and it's going to be provide good coverage on that sign and lay flat. So once I got it ironed, it was definitely easier to go in here and give it a quick trim. And it's not going to be perfect, but if I can get it fairly close and without fraying, I'm going to be happy with it. So just trying it on for size there. And I did notice a few areas that still needed a little bit of trimming. And so I'm just going to straighten those out. And I really don't want any of that fabric to go over the sides. I thought about cutting it in individual strips for my slats, but I decided to leave it all in one piece. I thought that would be a little bit easier, and with the Mod Podge, it does kind of like go down in between the different pieces as well. It gives you a little bit of texture, even if you don't cut it. So I just used matte Mod Podge again, and we're going all over that Dollar Tree sign, and a nice thick coat of that to be able to hold the fabric on here. And the only tricky part is getting this like lined up just perfect, where you can't see any of the wood sign behind it, just that fun green plaid. Once I got it on there, I kind of smoothed mine out with a baby wipe. I didn't really want to Mod Podge on the top, and I did have a little bit of Mod Podge coming through, so I just kind of spread it out a little bit and then went in there with my heat gun and dried that completely so we can keep crafting. Now I do want to switch up the wood beads on this one, kind of like we did on that round sign earlier. So I just removed one side of the hanger, removed those unfinished wood beads, and then these are the wood beads that came with that little Happy St. Patrick's Day leprechaun sign that we used on our Shamrock Wreath. And I thought I would just use some of the green and whites on here. I'm going to do dark green, white, light green, and then I'm going to reverse that here on the other side. So I have like 3 beads hanging on each side with like the same kind of color pattern going down. I'm just going to staple that to the back, add a little hot glue to my twine, and we have a new hanger on our little Dollar Tree sign. And it is coming together nicely. Now this is the little leprechaun hat. It's galvanized metal with a little black wood sign on there. It's super cute. So again, I'm going to go ahead and use the thumbtacks from Dollar Tree because I think that was a great solution. It's going to help hold it onto the sign. It's going to cover up those holes there on the top that we don't no longer need. And then I'm going to start though by hot gluing the sign itself to the fabric. Just trying to get it centered on there. And then I can go back with those thumbtacks and just nail those in to provide a little bit more security. Now, I left the shamrock plain earlier because I kind of liked that better. This is a larger surface, and since it's black, it really reminded me of a chalkboard. So I thought we could use like a white paint pen and kind of do like our own little chalkboard words on here. So I went in with my Posca white paint pen, and I just did cursive in luck. And then I'm going to do of the, kind of like in a smaller print letter. And then I'm going to do Irish, kind of like an array done font. Something nice and skinny, easy to kind of sketch on there without any kind of stencil. And we're going to make it say Luck of the Irish. I have a little bit of room here, so I'm just going to freehand on a little shamrock. 3 little hearts with a stem, pretty easy to do. And color that in white. This was another fun St. Patrick's Day DIY. Very easy to do, and I just love the colors, the way the green and the black go together so nicely on this.
Definitely looks like something fun for St. Patrick's Day. And I love the little look of the chalkboard signs on these. Being able to write your own little message on there, which was pretty easy to do with just my paint pen. Really cute. I like a smaller sign like this because you can pair it together with some other items and make a really fun little decor area in your home.
We're going to do another coastal St. Patrick's Day sign using one of those signs from the Dollar Tree. And then I want to layer my signs again. So I'm just going to use a square sign I had left over from Christmas. Doesn't really matter what it is. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint that Christmas green color. And that's just going to be kind of my background. Doesn't really matter that I had all that glitter and stuff on there because I'm also going to layer the burlap that we used earlier. This is just burlap I have from Walmart. You could always use the burlap rolls from Walmart as well, or the burlap bags they now have at the Dollar Tree. And I was kind of going for that same feel where you have the burlap with the green background, but this time I kind of wanted to cut it down so it kind of had like a green border around the edges. So I'm just cutting the burlap down the sides, trying to cut along the grain of the burlap. And then I like the green sign, but I do want to distress it a little bit. So I'm going to distress it with a little ivory. Just kind of working in one direction. I love using those chunky brushes from the Dollar Tree. Sometimes they lose a lot of bristles, but sometimes they work well. Just going around the edges because you're not going to be able to see the middle part. So there's really no need for that. To kind of give me a coastal background for this sign. Now to attach the burlap, I'm just going to do a thick layer of Mod Podge again. And glue down the burlap. It's going to kind of tie it together to that other project we made with the rope and the fishnet. A little bit different because the green border is visible around the edges. And then I want to take that shamrock sign that we got at the Dollar Tree and layer that on top of it. But I do want to kind of give it a little bit of a coastal makeover as well. So just using my Cricut brayer to make sure I got that glued down straight. Now see how this sign kind of looks a little bit coastal? This is the one that has like the green galvanized metal shamrock. Just going to pop that off. I like the colors on this. This is almost exactly the same background image that's on the one that I just used for my Shamrock Cafe sign for my coffee bar for St. Patrick's Day. That one had a burlap ribbon in the middle. If you use that one would actually be about perfect. I didn't really like the bright green galvanized metal here, so I thought I would just clean up the back on that to get the glue off of it, and then I could just use the silver side. I thought it was going to go way better with my decor than that bright green. Just trying to clean up any areas there from glue, kind of distressing all over, just to kind of make it look less like paper and more like a weathered painted shamrock, really distressing the dark green areas pretty heavily. I like to do that. It always makes the signs look a little bit better from the Dollar Tree. I'm also going to go ahead and distress it with a little ivory as well, just to help kind of go with that painted vibe. Even though the printed paper is pretty, I just kind of want it to look a little bit more homemade. Now, there was a small area there where I didn't I had a little glue that was exposed there. So I'm just going to use a little tiny piece of burlap just to make a little clover stem because it didn't really have one. And then just hot glue the galvanized metal shamrock leaves right on top. Then I decided that I kind of wanted to distress this with a little antique wax by Waverly. It's probably too late at this point because I already had the burlap on there, but I'm being careful just because there was a lot of brown distressing on that sign that we're going to attach to the front, and I just kind of want the colors to coordinate a little bit better together. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take some twine, tying that off on the top of the shamrock. We can use these existing hangers to hang the whole sign. That way I won't have to worry about covering up those holes when we attach that to the back sign. And about the thickness of 2 Dollar Tree signs, I really like that. Well, it makes it kind of more of a normal depth sign. So as you can see on this square sign that I had left over, it's going to overlap the sides slightly, but that's okay. And we're just going to glue the shamrock down. It kind of looks really cute like that. I want to take it a little bit further and add some more coastal touches to it though. So I thought some seashells from the Dollar Tree would be really fun because they're kind of, the same shape as the little petals on the clover. So I'm just going through my stash trying to find 6 of them that are about the same color and about the same size. And I couldn't really find one that I wanted for the middle. And so I'll show you what I end up using. A sand dollar. I had one just the right size, but it would be kind of cute without it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that sand dollar down. Again, I got that one on Amazon. All of the seashells are from the Dollar Tree. Just hot gluing those down onto the galvanized metal shamrock. Just hot gluing around the edges. And securing those all down. And this was kind of an outside the box shamrock with all the seashells, but I love the coastal touches and I think it turned out really fun. Okay, we got all those glued down. And I'm loving this project so far. What do you guys think? And then there's me saying, well, my greens don't really match. So I use a little bit of that Christmas green to distress the green stripe on there just to make sure my signs kind of match together a little bit better. And then also distressing them with a little bit of ivory just to brighten it up a little bit. Okay, I got to this point and then I decided to add some nautical rope, some of the jute kind that we just used for the wreath to kind of frame this out a little bit. Again, anytime I frame out the Dollar Tree signs like this, I think they look a little bit thicker and I'm usually happier with them. So I'm just going to start along the bottom and I'm going to hot glue that to the edges. And just use a package of rope and go all the way around. It's going to provide another little coastal touch to this. And make it look a little bit thicker and more finished as well. Just wrapping that around, gluing one section at a time, making sure that my hot glue does not dry. And this is how it turned out, just kind of gluing the corner to itself down there. And this is the final project.
And, it's a little bit more rustic than I normally go on my channel, but I liked it. I think it turned out really fun. I love the little, of course, coastal twist on this with the seashells and the sand dollar on there. Anytime I can craft with seashells, sand dollar, starfish, I'm always going to jump on it. It's really fun to do. I really hope you enjoyed these 20 St. Patrick's Day Dollar Tree DIYs. Please let me know your favorite down in the comments below. And this is my QR code if you would like to buy me a coffee. And thank you so much to Mary for generously buying me 3. Okay, enjoy the final reveal.
I'm walking down the street on clouds instead of the concrete. I'm dancing through everything Everything's about to come my way. Nothing can ruin my day. No matter what anyone does or say, I smile at fools. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up. And I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop, it is my time. Cause I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. I'm strolling down the street with all of my favorite songs on repeat. I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way, and I don't care if you spill coffee on me or if the sky is gray or blue. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up, and I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop, it is my time. I know what it's like to be broke, yeah. I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. Like to be broken, and I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm just gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down, cause I am on my way.
Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's St. Patrick's Day Crafting Marathon. I also want to give a huge thank you and shout out to my YouTube members for always being there to support my channel. Thank you so much to Jamie Job, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, I Am Mojo Jojo, Maren Christensen, Adrian Brolt, Debbie Middleton, Red Mama, Powell Puppy Life, Renee Albanese, Jenny, Debbie Austin, James Osborne, and Lizette Thomas. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. If you would like to join the membership, you're going to get early ad-free access to my content here on YouTube. Now, would you like even more St. Patrick's Day crafting inspiration? Be sure to check out one of these DIY videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting for St. Patrick's Day.